Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zolotech, and iOS 18 brings many new features and changes with visual updates, changes to locking apps, and much more. But I thought we'd talk about every new iOS 18 feature for Apple Music and podcasts. Now, the first thing you may have already noticed is the Podcasts and Apple Music app actually have a dark mode icon. This is just something that's visually been updated with iOS 18 where you can switch between them, but I just thought I'd share the new icons. Now, if we go into Apple Music or the Music app, go to our song, and if this song is playing or not, we can tap this button down here in the bottom right, and there's some new icons that have been updated. Compared with iOS 17 on the left, iOS 18 on the right expands the overall icons for shuffle, repeat, as well as autoplay or continuous play. So they're just a little bit easier to press, and they've updated that in iOS 18. Something else they've updated has to do with crossfade. They've added this some time ago with iOS 17, but if we go into our music settings and within music options, if we scroll down and we have crossfade enabled, this is being updated this time around where we already had some of these controls, but with iOS 18, Apple is updating the feature to better help it transition to the next song, sometimes fading or mixing the next song using some of the AI features. Apple has added the feature in your library, and if you go to the song itself, the overall song titles are finally full length. We no longer actually have them cut off like we did with iOS 17. So you can see here the full length of the title, Song 6. There is no mathematics to love or loss. So before it just went ... So this is great that they finally extended that so we can see that regardless of how long the actual song title is. Another change they've made is if you go to an album and maybe you want to play the album next, you can actually press play next or play after. They've replaced play last so it's a little bit more clear as to what you're doing. It's saying play after this song. So tap on that and you'll play it after with that new little icon that pops up. If we go into the album itself, tap the three-dot menu, we can now add it to the queue as well. So instead, before we would go into the album, tap the three-dot menu here. You'll see before we didn't have that option. We could play next, play last. Now we can just add it to the queue in general. This just makes it much more convenient so we can go in and see what's actually playing. Once you've added a new song to your queue, you can go down to your Now Playing screen, tap the Now Playing icon or menu option in the bottom right, and you can see the queue here instead of playing next. So now you have the option for the queue. You can clear it if you'd like as well. So we have that button, just clear it. Clear the queue, and now you can start over or just turn on autoplay for it to decide what to play next. If we go back into our settings and then we go up to accessibility, within accessibility, if we scroll down, keep going, you'll see music haptics. This is a new feature that allows you to feel the music, and it's available in specific apps. Third-party app developers can add this as well, and if we enable this, it's available in specific songs. We can play a sample where it will actually vibrate the song or vibrate the phone to the sound of the song. So if we go in and maybe we'll go back here, we'll go in and play this song, I can actually feel it vibrating to the music itself, and then we have a label here that says Music Haptics. We can pause it to turn it off or tap on it just to hear it or feel it. So that's a new option that I think is really helpful. You definitely can feel what it is for those that are a little bit hard of hearing, or you just want some added sort of haptic feedback to go along with the song itself. Now, SharePlay is something we've had for a little while, but we can now SharePlay on other devices. You'll see down here at the bottom, if we maybe send it to a different device, such as my studio HomePods, we have the SharePlay icon here so we can share with someone else, share sort of an overall music library, and then we can either SharePlay this to HomePods, Apple TV, or other Bluetooth speakers as well. And with this QR code, you can actually SharePlay with others that don't even have a music subscription now with Apple Music. So that's been updated, and I think that's a great addition for those that don't necessarily subscribe, but maybe want to share while they're at your house or a different location. While not necessarily part of the Music app, if we go into the TV app, there's some new options here. If you're in the TV app and you're watching a TV show or a movie that actually has the Insight feature, you can not only see the actors and actresses taking place in the film, you can actually see the music that's there as well. It says A Beautiful Game by Ed Sheeran, and you can actually press the plus button to add it to your music library. So if you want to go to saved songs in music, you can do that. So if we go back over to music, and within the Music app, you'll see here that we have saved songs and recently added. If we go into saved songs, you'll see the song that we just added here. So that's something they've added that really is helpful, and you can add that from things such as your Apple TV or iPad if you're viewing that. If we go into the Podcasts app, there's some updates here. So maybe we're playing the the 9 to 5 Mac happy hour will resume here. And if we scrub through, you'll actually see chapters here now. Just like you do on YouTube, you can scrub through the different chapters and see what the actual topics are. Now, you can actually jump to these topics as well if they've listed them in the show notes. This podcast hasn't, nor has another one here, The Talk Show with John Gruber. So I've gone in and looked for different ones with actual chapter markers. They're in the podcast themselves, but not in the actual show notes. If they do link them, you can jump right to it. Also, if you go to share a podcast, this has been updated. So if we go to maybe share the episode, we now have the option to share it from the start or from where we actually left off listening. So that's up to you. Maybe you want to share a specific moment with someone, you have the option. If we go to search for a podcast, this has also been updated. So maybe we'll start searching for Apple. It now gives suggestions where it didn't before. So as you continue typing, it gives suggestions to different things. So Apple Podcast. You'll see there's some options here. I don't know that they necessarily line up, but if we search for maybe Mac Rumors, you'll see the Mac Rumors show, and I didn't continue typing, but it actually finds it. So this is something that they've actually updated with podcasts. Not a huge change, but definitely a nice little update. Now, coming in the near future with iOS 18.1, there'll be some updates as well. And with iPadOS 18.1, it looks like Apple's going to add the menu bar to the Music app within the iPad. So you'll see here on the left, we have our typical layout like we've had for a few years. If we tap this button, we now have a top bar at the top. If we press and hold, we can now edit this and bring in different things from the side. So maybe I want music videos there. We can just drag that up to the top, tap, and it locks it in. So now we can even scroll between multiple options here. So if we want to go to new music or home or music videos, we can now do that. It's a nice little update. Also with iOS 18.1 and iPadOS 18.1 with Apple Intelligence, we're supposedly going to get better playlists using that. So maybe we'll see that in the near future where we'll have much better playlist suggestions. We have some of them now, but they're just not that great sometimes with maybe some of the new music or favorite songs we listen to. And I would love to see them split this up between different family members. Currently, the reason I have so much different things here, such as kids songs, is because my son listens to some of them or my kids listen to them. And then I have stuff mixed with what I listen to and what my wife listens to. I would love to see this split up into maybe family groups where we actually share different songs, but not in the same library. We could see what each other's listening to, but not necessarily have them in my favorites. So that's something I personally would love to see, but I haven't seen updated. So that's everything new with podcasts and music so far with iOS 18. Let me know what you think of it in the comments below. I'll link this wallpaper in the description like I normally do. And if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.